That's what I figured.
Good evening, everyone. As you can see, Supervisor Bennett is not with us tonight. He is under the weather, so I would like to call the meeting to order. If you'd all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Trustee Hugo.
Here.
Trustee Fike.
Here.
Trustee Raridan.
Here.
Trustee White.
Here.
Treasurer Kilmer. Here. Of course, I'm here, and Supervisor Bennett is absent. Okay. Before we have the approval of the agenda, I need a roll call to grant me the permission to preside. So can I have a motion to preside?
motion.
Promotion by Fike, supported by White. Very good. Supported by White on preside. Okay. Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Okay, 6-0, motion passes. All right, now we need to have the approval of the agenda, and I will need a motion and support for that as well.
Make a motion.
Motion by Kilmer, supported by Hugo. Motion by Kilmer, supported by Hugo. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. 6-0, motion passes. Let's see. Now we have public comments. We have one card that's been turned in. Susan Elizabeth Fisher wishes to speak. Ms. Fisher, if you would step forward.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, thank you for being here and representing us today. I'm Susan Elizabeth Fisher. I live at 5608 Continental Road in Grand Blanc Township. I've been there a long time, but Mama passed, and now I want to know what's going on, because I always depended on her. So I noticed that we had no light on our road. It was addressed to me by Miss Melissa, and I appreciated her taking time out. I have been given a couple names, so thank you for that. We don't have a light, and I just wanted to be on public record that we don't have a light, so that when I do get this going, it gets going, hopefully. We have holes. I have terminal cancer. Please, everybody in here, get your colonoscopy and your blood work. I hope that goes on public record, too.
If you turn and don't speak into the microphone,
then it won't,
we'll probably hear you. So
Sorry about that.
appreciate your sincerity.
Please get your colonoscopy and blood work, because it's better to be proactive rather than reactive. But I'm a little bit concerned as a retired teacher that I'm not seeing a lot of community outreach, ways for people to maybe, I know that there's fish for food and there are things for people, but when I asked about, do we have neighborhood watch and things like that, it doesn't seem like we have that. I said, do we have any police, like, I'm not sure of the word, but where you get trained? We're not an actual police person, but we're good people that care about the community and we want to help. And I don't necessarily see that. I've had some break-ins, and I would like some community support. And I would like to provide some as well. So those were just a few additional things separate from me, but more community-based that I was interested in. So there are a lot of brilliant people up here. I thought you could maybe put your heads together, see what we could come up with maybe, because we do have a beautiful community here. But there's a lot of things too that aren't beautiful. And I will quickly address that, because I understand I only have 3 minutes.
That's correct.
And I can be loquacious. So I feel like a lot of the problems in Grand Blanc Township actually stems from teenagers when their parents go to bed. I really do. Now, I don't think it's Sarah Hugo's son. She's a great ma. She's got a good kid that didn't even know what a vape pen was. A lot of these kids not only know what vape pens are, but they blow smoke in their teachers' faces with them. As a former teacher, I know that. So if we could please do a little more active patrol in my area, I would really appreciate it, especially between 2 and 4. In 2015, I caught my neighbor girl breaking into my car. She was also breaking into all the neighbors' houses. I caught her, but I love that I caught her. I don't want this to continue. I feel there's a pattern in Grand Blanc Township with the teenagers. So if you could please look into that, I would really be grateful. Because, see, we never think the kids are really doing some bad stuff. I taught in Flint. I'm telling you, if they're Flint or Grand Blanc, some kids do bad stuff. But they're great kids out there too. So how about we start maybe doing something really neat for the good kids too, because I'm not seeing it. That's all. So please continue the good work. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for your comments. Okay. We now have the approval of the consent agenda. If I could have
I'll make a motion.
motion by Fike, supported by Hugo on the consent agenda. Trustee White,
Yes.
Trustee Raritan,
Yes.
Trustee Fike,
Yes.
Trustee Hugo,
Yes.
myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer,
Yes.
6-0, motion passes. All right, very good. On to new business, item 7A. The board will consider a motion to approve the planning and zoning site plan scanning project with Graphic Sciences for the amount of $32,728.80 and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related documents and contracts. Mr. Smith.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Since the 1970s, the Planning and Zoning Department has kept correspondence and large format plans for over 1,100 site plans and banker boxes. This project would put these documents into a digital format so they could be easily accessed through the Township Document Management System OnBase. These documents would then be indexed by their site plan number and then eventually tied to the corresponding address or parcel ID numbers. Scanning and indexing of the documents is expected to be completed within 4 to 5 months. The total bill would be $32,728.80. GL number is attached in your documentation.
Good. Are there questions from board members? Trustee Fike, then Trustee White.
Is this in the budget?
So this will require, there's money in his budget.
Superintendent Lehman.
No, it wasn't a planned expenditure, but there's money in the budget right now. We don't know that we'll have to make a budget amendment to his budget, quite frankly, because he has money still allocated. But if he does, we'll take care of it in the amendments later this year. We currently do have the funding available to
Yes.
move it forward.
Trustee White.
Didn't we vote on this a year ago, or did we just talk about it? I remember something similar to this.
We sent building plans out. Now eventually we'll have everything scanned in. But to do it all at once is too disruptive because we basically take all the plans and we still have to access them. Like even with these ones, that's a great question because even with these ones, Jeremy's first question was, well, how long don't I have access to them? They guarantee that they can get it to us in 24 or 48 hours. Yep. So if we have to reference a site plan. So once they go, we've had a bunch of the building plans done. We had more of them done. We still have more to go. But eventually we will have everything scanned in, so everything will be at your fingertips access. And the best thing is that no matter which department you're trying to pull it from, if it's important to you by address, by property identification number, by a permit number, all of that information gets indexed, so regardless of who's trying to access it, you can pull it from a variety of areas.
Very good. Are there any further questions? Okay, then a motion is in order on item 7A. Someone wish to make that motion? A motion by Kilmer, supported by Hugo on item 7A. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. 6-0, motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 7B, the board will consider a motion to approve an as-needed contract with Pipeline Management Company Incorporated for sewer-related services using the attached cooperative Oakland County contract and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related documents and contracts. Mr. Cooley,
Good evening.
welcome.
Thank you. What's in front of you today, after spending several months here, it's been about 10 months now that I've been hired on, we went through a couple of periods of time to where, we have a fairly new Vector truck. I think it's only about a year old, but it still has to go in for service, still has to get put down for maintenance. We had some warranty issues on it where it was back at the dealer for probably 2 weeks. During that time, it leaves us very vulnerable on if we have any sewer-related backups within our system. Currently, we rely on Genesee County Water and Waste to give us a backup, so we would call them to ask them to come give us service. The issue behind that is they maintain 13, 14 different communities as well, so we would probably be low on the list if they had a call in one of those other communities. All the other communities that I've worked for with Oakland County, Livingston County, and the city of Pontiac, we always had a backup with an as-needed contract similar to this. As a matter of fact, this is the Oakland County contract, and I used this same contract, piggybacked it at the city of Pontiac as well. So these as-needed services, we would only pay this contractor if they would come into town, if they were called for any type of work like this. It also gives us a backup to where if we get into a situation where there's a large debris that we can't handle or our crews struggle to get through, it would give us a backup to have a company come in and do that type of work as well.
Okay, very good. Questions? Trustee Fike?
Makes sense to me. Do we know how much this could cost us?
Well, it's a time and material contract, and it just depends on what we call them for and what we need them for. Typically, you would get a 2 or a 4-hour emergency call, and that would be depending on, if we called them during the daytime and said, hey, we need somebody out here right away, it's something they could schedule their crew to do towards the end of the day. It would be a 2-hour call out. They would charge us 2 hours for the time and material, which would be, the hourly rates are in the packet there, so whatever a vac truck is, plus their employees to come out with that Vector truck. And it'd be on a 2-hour basis. Now, if we called them in the middle of the night and needed them, that's where the 4-hour kicks in.
Very good. Other questions? Trustee Raritan?
If it exceeded the limit that I think Mr. Limita had set for department heads, do you then have to go through Mr. Limita?
Correct.
Unless it's an emergency repair that would cause us issues if we didn't take care of it, in which case they're authorized. They still will contact me, but we're authorized. The other thing is, this is still competitively bid. It's through an Oakland County. Same thing, you've seen us purchase other things through the Oakland County contract system. Anybody in the state of Michigan as a municipality can participate. So it still goes through that system. It's still competitive. We know that, we don't have time in the event of an emergency to go and look for the cheapest people. So this actually accomplishes that.
I was really, I guess, if it was an exorbitant amount, I would think that you would be involved is really what I was getting at.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're not going to affect an emergency. I mean, in an emergency, I'm going to get contacted, it's emergency, and it's going to be like, go get it done. We got to get it done, especially if it's a sewer backup or something, that impacted a major healthcare center or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes, Treasurer Kilmer?
Is that what we're talking about, is the sewer backups, emergencies, whatever, or?
Yeah, what you're being asked to do is just make an agreement, not spend any money. It's just basically setting up that we have an as-needed contract for sewer related emergencies or services that we can't handle.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a retainer then, monies for actual events on top of that, or is it just a?
There's no retainer, it's just if, we only pay them if we call them.
Okay, all right. Trustee White?
Is this a backup to waste and water? So is this like a backup to a backup, or are we just cutting them out entirely?
So basically, we would call them instead of Genesee Waste.
Well, very good. Is there any further discussion on the subject? Okay, then a motion is in order on item 7B. Trustee Fike makes the motion, supported by Treasurer Kilmer. On item 7B, Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
6-0, motion passes. Item C, the board will consider a motion to approve an as-needed contract with SAK Construction LLC for sewer and water-related services using the attached cooperative City of Livonia contract and authorize the Township Superintendent to execute all related documents and contracts. I presume this is along the same vein?
Yeah, so this is along the same vein, but this company has the ability to do the water side of it as well. If we have any emergency dig-ups that are outside the realm of what we can dig, if it gets down too deep, any of those things. This contract is more of a line item contract where they charge by the foot instead of a time and material. But this company also would do, we have some money in our capital outlay to do some sewer system lining, where we go in and line a full run of sewer from manhole to manhole, and this company would have the ability to do that, and we would use this contract for that work as well.
Okay, very good. Questions from board members? Okay, seeing none.
Dave, I'm sorry.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Is there, I noticed that there isn't any dollar amounts or whatever related to this? Is that negotiated at the time? Or?
There is a dollar amount within the packet. It's towards the back of the contract, and my printer messed up before I got here, so I didn't get that page. It jammed up as I was trying to print it before I come in, but it is within the contract. There's set dollar amounts for the lining on different sizes of the pipe, so like an 8-inch, a 10-inch, a 12-inch, and it gives you that set dollar amount. Same with if we need any cleaning or televising, it's a per foot dollar amount. It's all within that contract.
Is that where they reline our existing sewers?
Correct. It's an internal repair where they would basically put a liner through there. It's like a felt liner with resin. They put it through there and they would cure it in place, and then that gives the pipe added life cycle.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Then a motion is order on item 7C. Motion by Hugo, supported by Kilmer. Very good. Motion and support. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. 6-0, motion passes.
Thank you.
Item D, 7D, the board will consider a motion to approve the annual census RNI hosting renewal fee for $23,970 and the annual census analytics enhanced hosting renewal fee for $21,095 from Aetna Supply totaling $45,065, and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related purchase orders. Mr. Boggs has joined you. Mr. Boggs?
Hey, good evening, everyone. This is our annual renewal for our hosting services for our meter reading software. It's a little bit more this year because in the past, they've been billing us previously and post, and last year we went to renewal, and then 6 months later, I got another bill, and I said, I can't do that. So I want to come once a year. So here I am again. This is the brains of our operation, so it's a tower-based system, so we get the reads at Baldwin Tower and Saginaw Tower, and then the RNI processes the data, and then the analytics system allows us to provide customer service. The RNI system also links with BSNA and provides our billing.
Questions from board members? Okay, seeing none, a motion is in order on item 7D. Trustee Hugo makes that motion, and I will support it. All right. Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Item E, the board will consider a motion for approval of zoning case number 674M, landscaping, planting, and species. Mr. Smith.
At the August 8th meeting, the Planning Commission held a public hearing for the zoning amendments for Section 5.10, amending landscaping species, maintenance and requirements, and also Section 6.2, amending landscaping requirements for the site plans. The Planning Commission recommended approval to the Township Board of Trustees with a 5-1 vote. The Planning and Zoning Department would recommend a motion for approval for the above-mentioned amendments as presented. Those sections, the changes, at the request of the Planning Commission, we initiated discussion regarding zoning ordinance requirements for landscaping best practices, including recommended and prohibited tree and plant species. Ensuring appropriate tree species that can grow to a healthy state is a simple but often unconsidered tool to help mitigate the adverse effects of climate change from a community scale. Trees sequester large amounts of carbon dioxide in our air, slow, store runoff, and work to cool the earth. All important considerations in built urban and suburban environments containing a lot of pavement. Not only are the species important, but practices in terms of planting and maintenance are also important for trees and plants sustaining healthy lives.
Questions or comments from board members? Treasurer Kilmer.
Believe it or not, I actually read through that attachment. You had like 100 pages or about.
There was about 20 pages to it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I understood it. The only thing that I did understand, I believe, is that there are certain species we don't want, and there are certain ones that are approved.
Correct.
And if anybody's like really bored, go ahead, read through the thing.
Right. The list of trees are already in the zoning ordinance. What we've done is amended them to include more that are approved and add to the list that we don't want planted in the area. The list comes from the state of Michigan and from Michigan State University. Yes.
Trustee Fike.
And this is on our website?
Yes, it will be. We're still in the process of updating the zoning ordinance, but as we just got a new amendment last week, so that one will be going up soon. This one won't be in there just yet, but every 6 months or so, we're putting a new version of it in all these amendments that we've been doing lately, yes.
I have a question, and this is really actually for Mr. Laddie. You will remember that the board removed portions of the ordinance that was deemed unconstitutional by the courts. My question is there anything here that could be, I don't want to see us have mission creep and end up back where we were before.
No, that's a good question, and this is not overlapping that at all. It does not have the same problematic elements to it.
And at that time, just to develop the record a little bit, that had to do with fees and fines that were charged and such. Right. And there's nothing like that here. It's just a list of trees.
Right.
Mr.
And so the other thing that we had, and the problem with that, the unconstitutional parts of not only our ordinance, I think it came out of Canton, through the Canton Township.
Yes, it was Canton.
And it had to do with kind of a trade-off or a banking of if you weren't following the recommendations or requirements of the ordinance, then you were required to essentially make a deposit and pay for those for the provisions you were paying for. And so that was, or you weren't abiding by. And so that was the problem with that ordinance, is you couldn't compel somebody to pay in lieu of complying with the ordinance. And that is not, you have to comply with the ordinance here.
Yes.
The remedies are different. The remedies could be that you're not going to find yourself moving through the process. There may be other remedies, but it's not going to be a financial penalty.
Okay. Historically, have we had a problem with landscapers planting the wrong type of trees for our climate or our soils or what have you? Is that an issue?
I've had site plans where the list of prohibited trees, some of those trees were used and we had to tell them to fix them, yes. Were they planted? No, they were planted based on the site plan.
Okay, well, very good. Mr. Limita, any thoughts on the subject?
No, I had the same thing, if it ain't, broke, don't fix it, sort of a thing. And my concern is with people who are already in the process, and in order to get their site plan approved, they've already spent a considerable amount of time developing a landscaping plan, like Row Engineering was doing for the roadway through Technology Village, and we just sat down 2 weeks ago or a week ago and went through the road plan that included the landscaping plan, and only to see this come through and say we're changing the trees that are permitted, so they certainly will have to amend their landscaping plan that was in progress. I hate to see that happen. Maybe we'll grandfather it in and say, look, it was already through. They certainly weren't trying to use any trees that weren't appropriate, because they were following the list that we already had in our ordinance of required species. What's really happened is we're changing that list. So if you were in the process of developing a landscaping plan in your site plan, you might be in trouble, and that would be a concern. But really, otherwise, the landscapers, when they're creating your site plan to go for review, they're looking at the list of allowable trees and where they're planted. And other things come into consideration, like the same thing goes through with the Genesee County Road Commission, for example, and putting a road through a development. There are trees that you're allowed to place and trees that you're not allowed to place because it has to do with overhang and snow plowing or whatever. So this isn't unique to Grand Blanc Township. Certainly, the Road Commission requires the same thing for roads in the county.
Okay, well, very good. Are there any further questions from the board members? Okay, then a motion is in order on item 7E. Motion by Hugo. Do we have a second? Second by Fike. All righty, on item 7E. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. 6-0, motion passes.
Thank you.
Very good.
Clerk Robertson, may I ask a question before Jeremy sits down?
Mr. Smith?
Sorry.
Don't run away yet.
Trustee
So-
Hugo?
My question is, and if this isn't an appropriate time to ask, let me know. The ordinance for mowing, have we come up with anything with that? And also, I know we had talked previously regarding the cattails, the one resident that's on Hill Road. I contacted the Genesee County Road Commission on July 5th.
We did the same.
It's just not safe. I mean,
Right.
you
We
see that.
contacted the homeowner and we contacted the road commission.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further? No. Okay, very good. Item 7F, the board will consider Resolution 24-31 to establish a special assessment district for the Cambridge Park Phase 2 Lighting District. Mr. Boggs?
Yes, the developer reached out to us about setting a public street lighting assessment district. This is the language to create the district and then amend our existing resolution is the next motion to our existing agreement with Consumers Energy to put this new district into that resolution.
Just one point.
Mr. Laddie?
Normally, when you hear special assessment districts, we're having two public hearings and going through a whole process. But with streetlights, it's a little different. We're going under a different statute, and it's much more streamlined. And so, what you have before you is a resolution that creates the district, but also funds the district. So we got 2 for 1, and it's not a public hearing. Although I'm hoping the developer knows about the process. Oh, there he goes. So. Yeah, so it's a much more compact process and easier to implement.
Okay, and we've done a number of these lighting districts in the past.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Any further questions or comments from the board members?
I got a question. Where's Cambridge Park?
Center Road, south of Hill on the east side, before you get into the Grand Blanc Cement city limits there.
Okay, very good. A motion is in order. A motion by Fike, supported by myself. Okay. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. 6-0, motion passes. Very good. Item 7G, the board will consider the Consumers Energy Resolution 24-32 to add the Cambridge Park Phase 2 Special Assessment Lighting District to the township's existing Consumers Energy Standard Lighting Contract and authorize the board township supervisor to execute all related contracts documents. Anything further? It's all in furtherance of the same issue, is it not?
Correct. This is amending the standard lighting contract and moving the district that you just created into this contract.
Okay, very good. Then I need a motion on that, if I could. Motion by Kilmer, supported by myself on item 7G. Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Thank you.
Let's see. Item H. The board will consider Consumers Energy Resolution 24-33 to add the North Saginaw Street Special Assessment Lighting District to the township's existing Consumers Energy Standard Lighting Contract and authorize the township supervisor to execute all related contract documents. Ms. Roberts.
Good evening. Very similar to what you just approved, only this is going to be on Saginaw Street. So this is one that the township is creating. They're putting new lights in on existing poles. It's a very inexpensive project, thankfully. We did existing poles because there are already so many poles. This is such an older area. There's a lot of poles. And we're, trenching and putting in new poles can be quite cumbersome, as we're finding out on Door Highway, so.
Okay. Any question? This is the North Point Business District, is it not?
Yep.
Okay. Trustee White.
I just have we applied for that grant for sidewalks. Is this going to have any, first of all, assuming we get it, will that just impact that at all?
No, we were told we aren't getting the funding from Gary Peters' office, but we do have the community CDBG funding for sidewalks. So we do have some more funding to get for the sidewalk. It won't affect it at all because all of the lighting is going to be on existing poles.
Okay. Item 7H. A motion is in order. Motion by Fike.
Support.
Supported by Hugo. Very good. On item 7H, Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. 6-0, motion passes. Item I. The board will consider a motion to create a fund through the Community Foundation of Greater Flint to support the Iron Bell Trail, Perry Road Pathway, and deposit our previously agreed upon portion of $50,000 into the fund and allow the township supervisor to execute all related documents. Superintendent Lemata, could you speak to this, please?
Absolutely. I don't know, maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, the county came to us and asked for a meeting just to talk about where they were on that Iron Bell Trail. And you guys are well aware, been supporting it for many years. I think it went back to 2018 when the board at that time made a resolution in support of this trail. And it really connects the village of Goodrich into the city and beyond. One of the things that it's taken so long to build, like all trails do, longer than you think. This is 100% a county project. They were working with Atlas Township. Atlas Township had some trails, millage, and they had their portion covered. We were only asked to contribute $50,000, which said the 2018 board authorized. When they came to us a few months ago, they said cost overruns. They've tapped as much funding as they can from both the federal and state grant funds, and they are about $700,000 short of their goal to complete the trail. If you've driven along Perry Road, you've seen the trail, a couple of things happened to them. Not only just the cost that went up from 2018, obviously, costs are up significantly as we found out with Kearsley Creek Interceptor and some other projects we've looked at. But there's a big portion on Perry Road that they ended up having to put that elevated pathway over some wetlands, which was a significant increase to their cost. They found a county drain that they didn't know existed and it wasn't on any maps. that had to be dealt with and relocated or as part of the process. So when the county showed up on our doorstep asking if we could assist them, we were only too happy to do so because we think it's a significant trail that makes a big difference to be connected. However, we can't support it with $700,000 because we don't have $700,000 available for non-motorized pathways, especially in light of the fact that we've already committed funds for the Embry-Cook pathway. But we had already committed $50,000. So one of the things, we've been working over this a few months, and one of the things we came up with, and then Melissa Roberts, our executive coordinator, reached out and spoke with Greater Flint Community Foundation about setting up a dedicated funding mechanism, a restricted fund, where we could help them fundraise to try to get the additional funds they need to complete the pathway. So really it ends in Atlas Township. It's at the corner of Mancour. It's got to come down there. The bridge abutments, because they're 100 years old, they won't allow them to use that for the trail. They have to tear those out and put new ones in to just put the bicycle and pedestrian crossing across the creek. So they ran into some significant, right when they got to the portion that is in Grand Blanc Township. Again, it's a county project. It's not a Grand Blanc Township project, but what this does is it establishes a fund through the Community Foundation of Greater Flint, like I said, where it will be restricted for those donations. Our suggestion after speaking with them was that we would put our $50,000 in. We think this is a great opportunity to ask the Grand Blanc Grid folks to also make a substantial contribution at this time towards that completion. This is probably 2 years out, I think Patrick from Genesee County Park said. Does that sound right, Melissa?
And we have the funding, basically.
Yeah, to try to get the funding over the next 2 years. But they have brought in, this is like, they brought in like $4 million in grant funds total for this project. It's just that now that we finally got to the finish line, and of course it's the finish line that comes into Grand Blanc Township, there's a significant shortfall. So we're hoping this will kind of lend a helping hand to the county to allow them to finish that. We'll support it, but we're not going to support it by writing a check for $700,000.
Right.
And
Trustee
Melissa,
Reardon.
if you would speak to the kickoff after this too, about.
Ms. Roberts, go ahead. Ms. Roberts.
Oh, we are going to have a kickoff on September 5th. It's a Thursday at 5 p.m. at the Perry House. And we'll be speaking to our trail system and the different things that are going on with pathways in Grand Blanc Township, and then do a short ride along the sidewalk there.
Very good. Trustee Reardon.
Okay, so when the county doesn't follow up and do this, because I'm assuming they're not going to, build it into Grand Blanc Township, they're right at the border, correct? I mean, they're pretty close.
Close.
So the $50,000 that we're going to give them, and I know it's for the pathway, but could they use it? I'm guessing they could use it to work in Atlas Township to finish whatever they don't have completed.
The funds that we're setting up, because we're the sponsors of the fundraising restricted account, the funds are to be used to complete only the Iron Bell Trail segment on Perry Road into Grand Blanc Township.
Okay, specifically, I mean, because I wouldn't vote for this if it doesn't say Grand Blanc Town, this money can be used for Grand Blanc Township, because the county has not been, maybe the best partner for us in the past.
This is really, think of this, and I feel relatively lucky because Patrick Linehan, our former Parks and Recreation Director, is now the Director of Genesee County Parks. Patrick is driving this project along with Jacob Maurer from Metropolitan Planning. Jacob is very passionate about these projects as well. We worked very, very well with Jacob. He was with them, left and went to Parks, is back with Metropolitan Planning. So the two really driving forces behind this with Genesee County Parks and Genesee County Metropolitan Planning are the two guys that I think they have a vested interest in seeing this come to not only fruition for this trail, but continued trails. And I think our partnership with them is going to be a lot better with the personnel that we have in place.
Mr. Lemata, if they're unable to gather the sufficient monies to complete the project, does the $50,000 revert back to us?
I mean, it's in a restricted fund. It would be anybody who, because we're going to be collecting donations, right? And it's going to be to complete that trail. That it has to be spent on completing that trail, but there wouldn't be a problem with trying to come up with a project to help complete that trail as it is. They're going to keep working towards it. They are going to complete that trail. I mean, there's no alternative to not do it. It becomes a priority for us as well. Depending on where we are, ideally, this county trail was supposed to end at Whitetail Drive. Okay, so through Perry, around the Sunrise Greenhouse, down Perry Road to Whitetail Drive. We were working with Grand Lake Schools to create a trailhead over at East Middle School, so there's a dedicated trailhead. So we've had a lot of ideas and a lot of discussion about how to do it based upon what we've seen happen at other communities. In fact, Supervisor Bennett had a bunch of great pictures that he showed us of different fundraisers that other people had done with their trailhead, whether that's selling bricks or signage or something to try to get community sponsors. We also talked about naming rights, if we could find a bigger corporate sponsor who'd be willing to name that section of the trail, because literally when that's completed, you could ride from the village of Goodrich to Elga Credit Union headquarters. So maybe it's the Elga Perry Atlas Trail, I'm not sure, but we can, create some type of fundraising scheme, get pictures out there, and I think the trailhead becomes important. People will be able to take a look at that, use a QR code to go right there to make a deposit into that restricted account. So I don't think, not finishing the trail is an option. It's just a matter of when we can do it, because they've already committed, they've accepted these grants, they've committed their funds. They have a requirement to complete that trail, not just the portions that are already completed.
Okay. Any further questions? Trustee Fike?
I got a couple of things. I just want to go on the record as saying I fully support non-motorized pathways. So hopefully the public doesn't think, well, they turned this down. No, we love non-motorized pathways. In fact, we lead the entire Genesee County in funds committed toward these pathways. Nobody does better than us. But can we afford $700,000 or whatever it is? No. So that's one thing. The other thing, is it the county Parks Department's baby now? I mean, this is their deal?
Yeah, this is their project. It's a complete Genesee County project.
Got it. The other thing is to Mr. Laddie. I noticed about mentioning Community Foundation in here. I'm on the board of the Community Foundation. I don't want a conflict. Should I abstain from this vote, or am I good to go?
You're good to go.
All right.
It's not a direct conflict.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Then, if there's no further discussion, a motion is in order on item 7I. Can someone make that motion?
Yeah, providing the money's for Grand Blanc Townships.
I think you've clearly stated that for the record, Trustee
I just
Raritan.
wanna throw that
Very
out.
good. Motion by Raritan and supported by Hugo. Very good on item 7I. Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
6-0. Motion passes. All right. Future agenda items. Superintendent Lemata, do you have any future agenda items you wish to bring to the board's attention?
You'll notice that we didn't have anything on from our strategic plan. We did a complete review of the strategic plan recently. As we prepare to wrap up this current strategic plan and move into the next one, we have, spent our time focused on preparing the fiscal year 2025 budget through the month of August. August is always our busiest month here in the township when it comes to that prep. So we've been totally focused on that, and I think as we move forward, you're going to be having conversations for your future agenda items tied to the budget and whether the budget meets or provides for further completion of your strategic planning items.
Okay, very good. Then board reports. Taking them in turn here. Planning Commission, anything from Okay. Trustee White, anything from the Zoning Board of Appeals? Mr. Fike from the Metro Alliance?
No.
Police Committee? No. Treasurer Kilmer?
No, there's, if you want to get into it, there's pages and pages and pages and pages, but, and it's all right there, most of you have, you all have received it. But whether or not you want to get into that, that's,
Okay, well, this is your opportunity to speak if you wish to.
I understand that, but.
Okay. I have nothing. Attorney Laddie?
I do have just one item, and I want to follow up on Ms. Hugo's question regarding the process for the grass mowing. Mr. Smith and I have been meeting, we have been talking about, we're weighing the benefits of the old-fashioned statutory scheme of townships accomplishing their mowing versus the process we currently use, which is the International Property Maintenance Code. And we're weighing the flexibility of the property maintenance code versus the ease of notice in the statutory scheme. And our goal is to try to shorten up the amount of time it takes from a violation occurring to getting some action done. But we also want to make sure that we're rock solid on recovering any fees that we have. And we also have been talking about repeat offenders and how we would handle that. And so probably what we'll do is present something for you. We won't change the process through the current mowing year, but probably in October, when you get a break in your agenda, we'll probably come to you and ask you which one you prefer after we've kind of laid out the pros and cons of both of them. Okay. So the system is working, but it's got some bugs that we want to try to improve on. And we'll see if we could give you an option that makes it quicker and better.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Excellent. Superintendent Lemata, any final thoughts?
No, none.
Okay, well then, I do believe a motion for adjournment is in order. Motion by Fike, to adjourn, and seconded by Kilmer. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned at 6:47 PM. Very good. Adjourned.